I don't dislike the Thai culture. I'm glad. I wish I knew what it was earlier, but it is more about money and support. But if I'm going to be honest, I can't be with one woman the rest of my life. I'm like, okay, well now can I fit 2 girls on one night and these 2 girls on this night? And then I can have 9 or 10 girls and see within 1 week. And how many can I pair up? Like, I'm so honest that I post my relationship stuff on social media. I mean, yes, certain girls don't ever want to be on camera, and some of my girls will never be on camera, but most of them, I post them there and I want the world to know. No girl can ever say I lied about cheating or a harem or whatever. I keep leveling my game up. Yeah, it's good because as long as you understand it, it's like the rules of the game, then you know how to play it. And then I have to ask myself what type of relationship I want. I want them all.
Welcome to Fruiting Body Podcast with your host, Brendan. Today, we have an absolute legend. Now, before we get to that, this is the last podcast in this studio. Now, we've been trying to get a hold of this guy for at least 3 years. And for some reason, the coincidence, he's making his appearance on our last podcast. Now, you're going to ask, who is it? Who is this mystery guest that's coming on? It is the one, the only, Tony Hugh. Now, we're going to be talking all today about living in Pattaya. He's got this harem here. We're going to learn about that. You know, it's only recently come to light with Andrew Tate, this lifestyle, but Tony has been doing it for a long time. Now, I'm not going to give away his age because we're kind of similar, so we won't break it down like that. We'll also be talking about biohacking. I got a million questions. And if you really want to learn a much more in-depth into the life of Tony, go check out Pete's Tirish Times. I think Tony's done about 3 or 4 different episodes there. That's how I initially got wind of Tony. So we're going to get this started right away. You hit that bell. You hit the subscribe. If you do, you do. If you don't, you don't. I actually don't really care anyways. But leave some comments if you love this episode. Let us know also what you think about Tony and his whole lifestyle in that a little bit different approach. So without further ado, we're going to get this started with Tony Hugh, and let's take it away.
Oh, Brandon, you asked people to get to say what they think about Tony Hugh in the comments. That means this comments section is going to blow up. And not necessarily in a good way. I get a lot of hate for what I do because I definitely live outside the matrix. I mean, you have to kind of live outside the matrix to move out of your home country to someplace like Thailand.
I would say you're probably a pioneer. You're, breaking ground of this Andrew Tate escape the matrix lifestyle way before he came in. There's other guys in Bangkok as well. An interesting guy in the trading world, the guy named King Shang Lee. He's very similar in that sense. But let's jump all the way back to not so far maybe your childhood, but still you were a lawyer in California, and this big move of selling your business and traveling the world. For our audiences that's not too familiar with that story, could you just walk us through the cliff notes?
I built the American dream. I had everything that someone who wants the American dream or fantasize about had. I had the huge house on the river in Sacramento, the exotic cars, the girlfriends, the yacht, the boat, the jet skis, the wakeboard boat, the motorcycles, the money, everything. Respect reached the top of my career in my industry. And I kind of felt like I beat the American game, and I was a little bit depressed, like what is the next stage? And I happened to, at the time, decided to take a tour that emphasized romance for Western men in foreign countries. So I did a tour through Asia, and it wasn't just Thailand that caught my attention, just the entire Asian culture, seeing a completely different culture than what I was raised with, and a culture that I think was more advantageous to me as a man, and that would allow me to thrive. And then also it shattered my ego because I was a big fish in a small pond. And then I went to other places, like Hong Kong is the one that shattered my ego more than anywhere. I went to Hong Kong. I'm like, oh my God, I thought Hong Kong was a dump. I thought I was going to be like the king of the crop here, and I came here and I'm nothing. There's so much money. There's so much business. There's so much more of the world to conquer. And then I went back to America, and I'm a lawyer, and I'm helping clients on a one-by-one basis. Even though I have a law firm of 23 employees and I'm handling a huge volume of cases, I still feel small, like I'm not really having a big international impact. Like it opened up my horizons so much bigger. And then I realized, like, I can't really do much more in America. I can't do any better than I was already doing. Yeah, okay, you can get a bigger house, you can get more cars, you can get a hotter girlfriend, but like you're still just playing the same game for minimal improvements, for a tremendous amount of work and liability, and in a culture that I don't think is optimal for us men to thrive in the first place. So I eventually made the move to selling everything and just divesting myself of America as much as possible. I still haven't renounced my citizenship, and I'm hesitant to do that because I don't know where World War III is going to go. And it's possible, I have to admit, even though I think America is not a great place for a driven, motivated, productive, masculine man to live, I still don't know for sure how World War III is going to pan out and whether America may still be a good place to live in the future.
I think it's you're familiar with Ray Dalio and his book of Changing Worlds and the Rise and Fall of Empires. He basically says the next step is civil war. It's coming. Maybe not. Maybe it could be 10 years or 20 years, but America's kind of on its way out, which is another reason I came here, not knowingly, maybe 12, 13 years ago, China, Taiwan, and now here. Asia will take over. I think Asia is the next empire, probably with a combination of the BRICS and Russia. Who knows how this all plays out? Now, jumping back to that, like, you had to make your decision to move to Thailand. You toured Asia. You packed up your bags. Was Thailand your first choice?
Philippines was my first choice, but Philippines' technology and infrastructure was behind. Their internet speed was slow.
Did you start there first? Or?
I was traveling around the world for a few years. I just traveled all around the world, around, and I'd keep stopping in Thailand, and I felt like, okay, Thailand was the place where I could have the most amount of fun, meet the most interesting people, have the most freedom, be in the most positive environment, and have also enough technology to be able to work efficiently. And in Philippines, I actually liked the culture even more in a lot of ways, and love the people and the fact they speak English, but the internet speed was just really holding me back. And it's gotten a lot better now if you have wired internet, but still the cellular internet still doesn't match Thailand. But Thailand has the best cellular internet in the world.
It's hard. And also in Philippines as an expat, where do you post up? I mean, Manila, it's safe in certain areas, but let's be honest, like the majority of it, it's a bit seedy.
Yeah, Philippines is much more dangerous than Thailand. And there's no one place that's perfect in the Philippines. If you live in the Philippines, you're going to have to get all your boxes checked. You're going to have to like bounce around on flights. You're going to have to like live more in the city and then go vacation to the islands or vice versa. But in Thailand, you could actually live in an ocean city and get everything that you need.
Like your Bangkoks and your Pattayas. I mean, maybe in Manila you could drive down. I think I went down to Porto Galera. Maybe 4 hours, but when you get there, it's not Thailand. It's not the same thing.
It's kind of separated. Like the beautiful beach places have even less technology, so you're really vacationing, and it's hard to live in those places. But in Thailand, you can live in those places. But you know, Thailand was an easy first choice, but Thailand, in my opinion, by my standards, is getting worse in a lot of ways, and now I have to hesitate whether Thailand's actually the place to live or not. You know, there's increased taxes in Thailand significantly. Inflation is also hitting Thailand. Too many expats are moving to Thailand. The traffic is bad. Real estate prices are skyrocketing. So like Thailand 10 years ago was a much better place than Thailand today. And I think Thailand is still the best, but I think it's falling. And I just want to have backups, you know.
Where do you I'm kind of in the same boat. We were contemplating going to Pattaya because Phuket, I don't think anyone looking to move here, I honestly wouldn't choose Phuket anymore. But if you're not in Phuket and you're not in Pattaya, what are your options? Hua Hin, there's no flights. So I think we're all going through this growing pains living in Thailand where we don't know where to go next. I mean, we're not going to Singapore. We're not going to Malaysia. We're definitely not going to Laos. We're not going to Myanmar. We're not going to Cambodia. And Philippines is just not developed enough. So you kind of go in this thought process of where's next. And have you thought about this?
A lot of like-minded foreigners are choosing Vietnam now.
But it's still very Chinese. And I've lived in China.
And they don't speak English very much.
Yeah.
And it's culturally very different.
It's the only place I've been robbed. My own fault. It was my own fault. But it's still a bit seedy there too.
Yeah. Petty theft is a big
Petty theft.
thing in some of these countries. Wherever there's desperation, anywhere there's like really desperate people who are unhappy or desperate or unhappy. But in Thailand, there are some desperate people, but they're so happy, they're so content, they don't want for things. They also care so much about respect from other people in the community and the way they're perceived that they don't want to do something that's going to cause them disrespect. So you have not just law enforcement, but you have like this cultural respect where there's just a lot less crime. Yeah, that's a huge advantage of Thailand. And that's one of the reasons why, even though Colombia's a great place to live, the reason I don't go live in Colombia is because it's just not as safe. You know, it's very dangerous.
Yeah, and you just need that peace of mind. Living in Thailand, nothing is really essentially going to go wrong here. You're talking about the poverty side, and we'll get into that and explain how Tony has his own harem and what that is all about and what that even means. But I think you can touch upon the poverty differences between Philippines and Thailand. I can touch quickly where Philippines, it can actually be the slums and homelessness. In Thailand, it's farmland and they choose to live that way. What's your experience?
Well, I actually brought a new girl into the harem, Joy, and she was my perfect girl. She's worth $1 million. To try to summarize like what she was worth to me, she's worth $1 million. I would pay $1 million to have her, right? So I hit the jackpot with this girl, and I went during the holidays, Christmas, to meet her family and basically ask them for marriage and get their consent with my harem situation and introduce her to another girl from my harem. I brought another girl so they could, understand how we all interact. Anyways, I surprised her at her house, not her family's house, but her house. And I found she lives in the slums like a homeless person. And so here was a girl that came from like the homeless slums who magically made herself look like she was high society. She read books. She was like smart enough to pass herself off as being like-minded like us, let's say, right? But there's a way of thinking in the slums that's we don't want in our lives. It's dangerous. It's desperate. It's an extremely low standard of quality of life. And if you have people like that in your lives, they will drag you into it. And she was posing as someone who could live my lifestyle, but she was secretly still that person. So I got to see what the slums are like, and it scared the hell out of me. It scared me so bad. And I've seen a lot of slums. I mean, I grew up doing real estate management for my family, and we owned a lot of Section 8 properties, and I've seen some like the worst slums in America type things. Yeah. Just a bit down on the in America. Yeah. But what I saw in Philippines like made me want to vomit. And the thing is, the people in these slums, they're not really unhappy. That's how they grew up. They grew up homeless. They're homeless people. They're always going to be homeless, and they're fine with that. Like, they're not looking for anybody to rescue them or anything. But yeah, basically the way they make money is they will eventually like scam or steal, and that's how they're going to get enough money to like, I don't know how to explain it. They make just enough money to pay for their food and alcohol, and that's it. And then like any big chunk of money that lets them buy a cell phone or acquire any asset, headphone, whatever, anything, it's going to be from foreigners or from scamming someone or something like that. And it made me so sick, like seeing that I almost brought that environment into my life that I was like vomiting for like 5 hours. Like the disgust that I felt was like a survival mechanism. My disgust response came in so strong, and I was like, wow, I needed this. Because I need to get further away from those type of people. I mean, I would love to help those type of people. Yeah, sure, we donate money, we educate people and all that, but it reminded me how dangerous it is to have.
Have you disconnected from Joy completely?
Yeah.
On the Irish Times with Pete, you were discussing and touching upon the point that all women are trainable, and you can help them achieve their goals and their aspirations of what they're looking to with a little bit of structure, which I agree in certain Asian cultures, structure is lacking. However, when it gets to that degree of slum, there's possibly no hope compared to the farm girl in Thailand. Can you touch upon that a little deeper?
Well, yeah, women are trainable. But they have to be honest, because you have to adjust their psychology, and you need to know what your starting point is and what's the clay you're dealing with to mold her. The problem is Joy was not honest about who she was and where she came from. And so I was like treating her, biohacking her, psychologically building her from a different starting point than I thought. And it was always not quite matching. There was always some inconsistency or some reason like, well, I mean, I taught you this lesson. I don't understand why you're not getting this if you really came from this. So yeah, the problem is maybe I could have biohacked her. Maybe I could have trained her. Maybe I could have made her into the perfect girlfriend if she was honest about where she came from and what her core values were, but she wasn't honest. So I wasn't effectively training her. I mean, on the surface I was. On the surface, if you saw her, you'd be like, wow, you have her trained perfectly. But the deeper psychology versus what she was acting on the surface. I need to get to the deepest psychology of the woman to be able to properly train her. So I need to know exactly which. So from now on, 2 things that I will do before I take such a big investment to train someone like this. I will visit their family. I will visit where they came from, and I will understand how they developed. And I will do psychedelic mushrooms with them, because that, not that it's like truth serum that will cause them to tell me the truth about everything, but everybody's lying to themselves about something. And what mushrooms allow you to do is be honest with yourself. And then she could choose to be honest with me or not. But step number 1, how can anybody be honest with you if they can't even be honest with themselves? So they have to break the ego and understand who they really are and why they really think the way they are. And mushrooms help with that process. And then I can get to know them. And mushrooms also saved my relationship with one of the my harem girls that's downstairs. And then that's when I realized, oh, I should have done that with Joy. That would have solved it. But I didn't know that. And that's why every time I have a new girl, every time you have a relationship or new business or something, you learn from the mistakes of the past. Next time I know for sure, understand more of where the woman came from and do psychedelic mushrooms before making any long-term commitment to her development.
Yeah, this is how we did start with the podcast as well. We have some the originators of psilocybin. I mean, you have Terrence McKenna. I don't know if you listen to him much, or Terrence McKenna's on that end. We have Albert Hoffman. He's the first one to synthesize LSD, which is actually from psilocybin originally. And then Aldous Huxley, The Doors of Perception. Let's backtrack, because probably people, as we've jumped into this specific part of that story with Joy, let's go back to the beginning of the harem. You've decided to move to Asia. Are you just a one-man gal at this point, or when did this all really begin?
Wanting a harem began, well, when I was, I guess I had some really bad girlfriends when I was younger. And I felt so trapped sometimes with one girlfriend. And also then I had a really good girlfriend that I never should have gotten bored of. I should have enjoyed having sex with her the rest of my life, but like I started getting really bored of having sex with the same girl every day. I'm like, oh, I need a little bit of something to spice this up. I think a lot of men do. They have an affair. And my father had a lot of girlfriends after he divorced my mom and my stepmom. And I saw him lying to all these women, and I saw it causing drama in his life. So I'm like, I don't want to be like my dad. I don't want to be a pathological liar and get myself tangled up in all this drama. So I'm just going to be extremely honest. Like, I'm so honest that I post my relationship stuff on social media. Like, I'm not I mean, yes, certain girls don't ever want to be on camera, and some of my girls will never be on camera, but most of them, I post them there, and I want the world to know. No girl can ever say I lied about cheating or a harem or whatever. I couldn't possibly be any more honest with my girlfriends. So I want that. I want 100% honesty. But if I'm going to be honest, I can't be with one woman the rest of my life. Like, that's just me being so honest. And I'll tell every girl that.
At what age did you realize that?
I think I was 21 when I had a really good girlfriend and everything was perfect. And I'm like, why am I tired of having sex with her? I don't understand. So I went on Craigslist, and I would get sexy massages and just pay money to go get happy ending massages and stuff like that. And that satisfied me, and that was fine. And I was hiding it from her because it was like a massage service, and she was such a sweet country girl, and I just didn't want to pollute her world. I'm like, okay, I'll get my needs satisfied. But she found I printed out like one of the Craigslist ads and then left it on my printer. I used to print out like 5 ads and then put them in my car and then go through like which one I want to go to this lunch break. So I don't think I've ever said it like this before. But then she found one on the printer and she freaked out. Like she's like, oh my God, I need to go visit my family. I need to recenter myself. I had no idea that my future husband would ever get a sexy massage. Like, this is blasphemy. I don't even know you anymore. Like, so dramatic, right? Like, oh, I never want to be in that situation again. I don't ever want to break a girl's heart because I wanted to go get a sexy massage. That's it. From day one, I'm telling every girl, I get happy ending massages, you know?
Well, this is at a young age. Now, obviously, you're not even moving to Thailand till in your 30s and whatnot, or kind of
okay. To bridge the gap, I was also very busy as a young lawyer in college and law school and working and a lawyer. So busy, I don't have time for like normal dating. So I use a website, Adult Friend Finder, and back then, I could highly recommend that website. Freaking amazing. Now it's I've tried it since, and it's just a bunch of scam marketing usually. But back then, it was freaking amazing. There's unlimited 40-year-old. I'm 21, right? Unlimited 40-year-old women that are married, that have permission to have something on the side or whatever. Anyway, so I started dating these girls from there, more experienced women, and then I started realizing like, oh, I could just go my whole life, like have the same girls. I want safer sex, and I want reliable, consistent sex. I don't want to have to waste my time chasing it. So I'll just have a different girl every night, but the same, like Monday is always Monday. Monday girl is always Monday girl. Tuesday girl is always Tuesday girl. So 7 different girls each day of the week. And based on like one girl may be really good for partying on a Friday. So, okay, that's my Friday girl. Another girl might be good after a really stressful Monday workday. Okay, that's the Monday girl. Yeah, and yeah, the standards were low. I'm just trying to fill spots.
Did they know about each other at that age, or was it still kind of in the dark?
Yeah, then I started sort of gently but I started finding where the threshold was, because if you're really honest and you say, yeah, I was with Rebecca last night and tomorrow I'm with April, and you know, she's good at doing this, and then the girl's heart, she can't focus, and like women just can't be thinking about all the other. They need to be able to focus on the man. So I've tried to find a happy medium where I'm honest about what I'm doing, but I don't give details that let them visualize it and then ruin their ability to have romance with me. And eventually, over time, I got it down to 7 committed girlfriends that are not seeing anybody else, who can be satisfied with my schedule, who are happy with it. And, other professionals like another lawyer, a CPA, and yeah. And I went through this rotation. It was perfect. It was fulfilling. It was great. That worked all the way up until, during my years as a lawyer. Like I couldn't possibly have been as effective as a lawyer.
Were they meeting each other at any point? So everything was still separate, like its own environment?
Separate.
Yeah.
But then like I'm leveling up my game. So as I level up, I'm like, okay, well now can I fit 2 girls on one night and these 2 girls on this night, and then I can have 9 or 10 girls and see within 1 week. And how many can I pair up? And yeah, I keep leveling my game up.
Were you gamifying it, or were you challenged? Was it a challenge? Were you gamifying it? Were you just trying to push the limits?
I'm only gaming it. I'm only treating it like a game insofar as anything else in life. You're just trying to progress to the next level.
Yeah.
Like you already have enough money. You could retire with some level of comfort, but you're still working, right? And you already have enough knowledge that you can function in this world effectively. Why do you need more knowledge? It's like everything you do, you level up, right? So I'm just like, okay, relationship, level up, challenge myself, level up. That's the only part of a game. It's certainly not a game with the girls as opponents. Mm-hmm. The girls are my teammates. Like this is the most important part. I want them to understand generally what I'm trying to do so they can cooperate with it and work towards it instead of working against me and my vision. Like I realize more than anything, the most important thing with a harem is we have to have a shared vision, a shared goal that we're working towards.
Your definition for anyone out there, what is the definition of a harem?
So to contrast, it'd be like, if you're married and you're having an affair with a girl and that's 2 separated things, then that's not a harem. If you have girls that are separate that never meet each other, that's not really a harem either. That's just having multiple either exclusive relationships or polyamorous relationships or whatever. A harem is where the girls actually come together. They actually live together, do activities together. The girls are friends. The girls have a relationship with themselves as well. So that's the goal, because I don't want to stretch myself thin. I don't have enough time in the day to go spend time with one girl, go spend time with another girl. And the truth is, if I found one perfect girl that could do everything I wanted and be everything I want, then maybe I wouldn't even need this. Maybe I'd need just that plus any side chick just for the variety. But I never found a girl that could satisfy my needs. So I just figured I'd get multiple girls that across all these girls would satisfy all of my needs.
Did you have your first harem in the US, or did this only exist in Asia?
I started trying it in America just like putting two girls together and seeing what it's like to sleep in the same bed, go to dinner together, do things together. And yeah, I did make some progress towards it in America. And I thought that when I came to Asia, it was just going to be so easy. But actually looking back, I think it's just as easy to do in America, or just as difficult to do in America, as it is in Asia. I don't think it's much. I mean, yes, you can just buy a harem in Asia, let's say, right? But that's not the type of harem that I'm going for. I'm really building relationships based on love. So if it's a relationship based on love, I'd say it's no easier to do in Asia than it is in America. It's equally difficult or equally easy, depending on how you look at it.
At which point did you realize you were building a harem? And did you ever make the decision to look to mentors to give you advice and direction?
Yeah, I did. So I didn't know that you could have a mentor for something like this. I didn't know if anybody had ever done it before. We had Dan Bilzerian on Instagram as the influencer that I was most known for having a lot of girlfriends interact with each other at once and do activities together. So that was some inspiration, but that was also something completely different, because I can tell that the girls are like being paid, or they're there for some other value. They're not there for love. And I can just see it's not like, it gives a good impression for, especially for girls, to see that and feel more comfortable with it as socially acceptable. But for me, I didn't really get much value out of like learning how to do it from Dan Bilzerian, but it was like a good sort of goal to create that, sort of help with the vision.
But there wasn't someone you could
But
call
David
or talk
Bond,
to. Okay.
David Bond, he is a influencer that people hire for like dating coaching type things, and his partner Mike on this project they're doing, where they're going around the world to each country and showing people how to date in that country, or using that country as an example. And then David Bond himself, his goal is to build a harem. He wants 3 girlfriends that, live with him and have fun with him. And he wants to do it based on not love, but fun. Like his currency is fun. So he makes sure the girls are having fun and create a fun, good environment for them. He's very anti-drugs, which makes building a harem without drugs is much harder than building a harem with drugs. So he does a no drug, fun only, not based on money harem. So I learned a lot of tools from him. And then I have another friend who's a billionaire in the Philippines, who's a mentor as well. And he has a harem that's based on, maybe it's a little bit based more on money and power, because he's a powerful guy, right? Money and power, and also huge sex appetite, huge insatiable sexual needs, which require a harem to satisfy. So these are my 2 main mentors when it comes to building a harem. Yeah.
Coming from the law background, obviously, you're going to have that very structured thought process. You're going to have goals, achievements, and when you hit those goals, those lessons learned to improve. When you started to build the harem in Thailand, did you structure out a game plan?
I don't remember. Did I structure a game? Yeah, you'd think
like a roadmap. Yeah.
Okay, so you'd think because I'm a lawyer, I'm very like strategic in step 1, step 2, step 3, but actually I'm more intuitive and creative. Being a lawyer taught me a lot of analytical skills and taught me that I should be more structured, but actually I do a lot more based on passion. Because when I'm like super passionate about something, I seem to be able to do the impossible. And if I'm not, then it doesn't matter how much structure I have. Like without the passion, it just doesn't move anywhere fast enough. So for me, the passion is the most important part of it, and going with my gut, less structure. Now, more recently, I've got my phone is packed full of notes, because now I realized, okay, I need structure because I keep making the same mistakes. So my memory is not good enough to remember the mistake I made yesterday. So I have to keep, I learned this lesson, I write it down. I learned this lesson, I write it down. So I have thousands of notes in my phone of lessons. Sometimes I go through it and I go, thank God I read these again. If I didn't, I would make the same mistakes. And then also I'm now using the girls to help me structure it. I sit down and I have one of the most valuable tools I learned from David Bond is to have harem meetings. Is instantly there's a problem, boom, harem meeting, all the girls to the table. We're having a meeting until we resolve this. Because if you let girls like make a small issue into a big one in their head, huge explosion. Same thing with just a monogamous relationship with a woman. Like you want to catch something when it's small before their psychology blows it way out of proportion. So yeah, quick meeting, and then help the girls get analytical about it. Like the girls, okay, set aside your emotion. Let's think like logically for a minute here together as a team. And I love, one of the things I love about a harem is when you have a group of girls, they can actually think logically. When you have one girl, they seem never to be able to think logically. But like they hold each other accountable because they understand each other's emotion, but they also understand the need for logic when they're together. And one-on-one, I just can't seem to get girls to be logical.
Well, at least they're coming to the table with different ideas and that thought process, and those thoughts can develop instead of sometimes just one. It's they hit that wall and they can become very stubborn of this is the idea, this is the only way to do it, and without some input, how are you going to go to the next level?
And women have a really hard time taking responsibility. So by having them be part of the decision-making process, when something goes wrong, I say, remember, you were part of this decision-making process. So now you have to try to help fix this. It's not all on me. Like, we're a team. We're problem solving together. Yes, I will make the ultimate decision, but I can only do it based on your agreement, your consent, and understanding that what we're doing is to achieve your goals as well. This is not all about me. Oh, that's made the biggest difference as well. Like these things I'm saying, if I would have gone back and told myself this 10 years ago, I would have had a perfectly functioning harem 10 years ago. But I had to learn through trial and error and mentoring, like all these little trips and tricks. And now I go through it like a video game. Every day I go through this harem like a video game, like, oh, I know, jump here. Oh, go left here, dodge here. And I'm just playing, and I get better and better at the video game. My goal is to be able to play this video game of this harem every day where I know every move and I make no mistakes. But every day I still make mistakes, but they're smaller and they're less frequent. And I'm getting to the point where I have hope I'll be able to have perfect harem days every day, which is amazing, right? Because even one man and one woman have a hard time having perfect days together for consent. Now, if I can do that with 7 girlfriends and have perfect days and manage all of their emotions, I think I have mastered something.
Is there like a rare 10 commandments to the household of certain rules that everyone should be trying to follow? Because it's not just a one-on-one relationship where there is more flexibility. You need to have probably some structure within the household or things could go haywire.
There absolutely needs to be rules. They need to be written. They need to be published on the wall. This is part of David Bond's mentoring. I need to actually show that I am sacrificing to comply with those rules as a good example to.
Are they your rules or kind of with the mentor, or are you adapting them to your situation?
So I don't have this list of rules. This is the problem. This is what I need. And this is why I have all these notes in my phone, because I'm getting closer to be able to refine them and figure out what the let's say like 10 most important rules would be. Now, David Bond has his own list of rules, but like his own list of rules says no drugs, for example. That doesn't apply to my situation. I like marijuana, right? And I'm very happy when the girls use it instead of alcohol, because girls drinking alcohol is just so annoying to me. Their memory's bad. They don't learn anything. They're sloppy. They cause accidents, whatever. But with weed, they're like focused and they're mindful and they're romantic and relaxed. Oh, it's so wonderful. Yeah, but we're in Thailand where it's legal, but it's also like still not totally socially acceptable because the government was putting so much information out against it before. Yeah.
Interesting. Let's talk about the development of the harem, and I guess we've been on this subject, but we can elaborate on that, especially in Thailand and in Pattaya. Who was the first woman to enter that, and how did this grow to what it is today?
I had a lot of girlfriends, and then I'd have multiple girlfriends together, and I'd try like the combination of these two, and I actually had a really amazing couple weeks, only 2 weeks. I had like the perfect with 2 girls living with me, and I was like, this is how good it can be. This is amazing. This is exactly what I wanted. So it gave me that hope that I can have what I want. But then those girls ended up fighting because their personalities were just too different. There's just some women, I now realize, like some women are just never going to be compatible with each other. Just like there's probably guys that you could be friends with, and then guys you just like can't be compatible with. You just don't have something in common with them. They just don't speak. You just don't vibe with them, whatever. So I tried to put 2 girls who have nothing in common together, and it worked amazing for 2 weeks until it didn't work anymore.
It all surfaces.
Yeah. So then I realized, okay, I need to make sure that like the girls are very similar to me, and that way it's all consistent with the living experience that I want. So then I got girls that are more like that are willing to do fitness, willing to be healthy, willing to be productive, don't need to go to the dance club so much. They clean up after themselves. Yeah, not just like a hot girl or, I increased the standards, and one of them is that they are going to be able to be compatible.
Were they always coming and going? Like, how long have you been in Phuket, in Thailand for?
Maybe 4 years.
4 years?
Yeah, a lot coming and going. I like long-term relationships.
From
actually.
like the beginning to today, like how many total you think have would it join Tony's team, or I don't know how you would define that?
Yeah, I mean, Dave dated a huge amount of girls, and some of them you see them one time, some of them you see them 30 times, some of them I met 4 years ago, and they're still with me today. So yeah, it's just all different. But I did have to go through a lot of girls, but I could have gone through a lot less if I just stayed away from the obvious ones that I shouldn't. Like, obviously, don't meet a girl in a dance club if you want to have a good relationship, usually, right? But then the dance club is the easiest way to meet girls. So now I go into if I go into the dance club, I'm like, all right, I'm going for a girl for one night, but if she's in the dance club, she's probably not a good girlfriend material usually, So it's like I'm more choosy on who I'm going to invest time with. But I also will bring a girl in just to experiment once in a while. Like one of my newest girlfriends downstairs is like an experiment. Okay, let's try this type of girl with the other girls and see how they all interact. And I have to experiment, and I have to fail. I have to fail more to learn more. So I'm doing experiments faster now. Bring this girl in and try it.
You have two different places, and kind of the ones that have, I don't want to say passed the test, but are given more privileges are in a separate house, and the other ones that are possibly in the experiment are in another. How many total women are in this harem today?
It's probably 7.
7.
Like this,
and they a lot are staying home. You have children. They're watching the kids. They're keeping the house together. How does that? What are the rules there? How does that structure work of coordinating these two different households?
I'm stretched thin because I have to go between 4 different households, and 2 of them are harem households, and then 2 of them are just 2 of girls just refuse to live with other girls. And that's just because I haven't convinced them yet. I need to show them I can create a stable enough harem environment and then have them join. They're not going to be part of the building it process. So right now, 4 households, and yeah, I'm stretched thin going between all of them. But that's what I'm telling the girls too. Like, hey, if you help me with this, we can build one harem household where I'm home all the time. You have more of my time, more of my energy, and more combined resources. So you have a better life as a result. Mm-hmm. If you stretch me thin, you're the ones who lose.
It sounds almost like a full-time job.
I'm really good at multitasking, but not as good as I used to be. And my skills have developed so I can be extremely efficient with these women. So like most men maybe have to have a couple hours conversation to get a point across to a woman, and maybe I can just do it in 5 minutes. So I'm getting efficient at it, but it also is taking more time than I would prefer it take, because it's part of the learning process. But I also now have hope that it's going to be extremely efficient very soon.
How often do you think, just let's wipe the slate clean and start again?
Every day. Every day. I still have a girlfriend in America that's been my girlfriend for 14 years, and I love her very much, and probably I'd be very happy with her the rest of my life and without all the rest of this harem and everything. But it's like I have to try. Like you only have one life, and this is an extreme challenge. This is something that very few people, if anybody, has ever done anything exactly like this before. So it's my personal challenge, and also I'm trying to prove my parents wrong, because my parents think this is like
impossible.
They're they're Catholic, they're monogamous. They want me to live a normal family life. I want to show them, in just a way like challenging the establishment. I want to show them like, no, there's a different way this can be done. And then also my baby mama number 1, who tried to trap me with having a child and push me into a monogamous relationship through force and control. And in her mind, she believes, and she wants to prove that monogamy is the only type of relationship that works. So I am on a mission to prove her wrong. And every day when something goes wrong, go, oh, all I'm doing is proving her right. And it's my motivation. I will prove her wrong.
Is she trying to drive you back to her where it becomes the monogamous relationship? Is that her goal?
Yeah, every day, still in my life, still trying to control me like that.
Let's jump into the business side of things, because again, you with this harem, to me, it sounds, I can barely handle one. But my focus is work. Like I'm up at 4:30, 5 a.m. I go to bed at 8:39, and I just work till like 11. But my day is structured. Like right before you came, I ate lunch. I'm at the gym. You know, I study Thai in the morning. It's very structured.
Yeah.
I'm not working 18 hours a day. But on your side, you're the company now that you're running, and most of it's international shipping and dealing in the U.S. It's Enhanced Athletic or Enhanced Athlete?
Enhanced Labs.
Enhanced Lab. I saw two different websites.
Well, there's multiple different a lot of different companies that are related or sister companies, or have licensing agreements, all types of things.
Gotcha. So how did that all come together? Because I'm very familiar with your Blue Ox. I was watching this. This is one product you guys are always pushing. It's kind of that natty or not type of stuff. Can you explain the business side of stuff? Did that develop in Thailand, or did you start that in the U.S.?
U.S., and it started with the first couple products. They were innovative products because I always loved biohacking, and while I'm a lawyer, if I have free time, I'm reading medical studies. Like that's my passion, even despite being so slammed with reading for my legal career. So I would always experiment with supplements. I didn't start powerful chemistry until 11 years ago. But before that, it was all natural chemistry. I was experimenting with natural supplements, and I became an absolute expert on it because I started reading about supplements, deep literature, as early as I could. But I started at age 12, and I read every bodybuilding magazine that came out from age 12 to age 16, 4 years of every issue of every bodybuilding magazine. And then I started reading medical manuals and all sorts of other stuff to get really deep into biochemistry.
And you're doing, correct me if you're wrong, you're doing modeling as well.
Yeah, modeling was my first job that actually made money. Right. Yeah. And yes, and so building my physique was like, well, I mean, I got that job because of my physique, but I was building my physique because I wanted to impress a girl, and I figured, okay, build my physique, then I get girls, this type of thing. Yeah, which is true, but not as true as I thought it was at the time, but it was good motivation. So I also had the genetics where it was very hard to put on muscle, and I had to use every trick in my disposal to try to put on muscle, which means I had to use a lot of supplements. And then I realized, like, most of the supplement industry is a scam, and mostly around products like BCAAs or there was a huge amount of products in the mainstream supplement shelves that are just so useless. But then there's some supplements that are so effective. So I'm like, well, what if we just take more of the effective supplements, put them together, and get rid of all the garbage that doesn't work? And then also, there's some supplements that deserve a lot more attention that didn't get a lot of attention.
Did you start thinking of this near the end of your log career, or is this something that's always been in on the back burner?
Always on my mind. Yeah. I mean, I became a lawyer because my father's dying wish was that I become a lawyer. And it was in order to take over our family's real estate business. So I never planned on practicing law. It's just that when I graduated and I'm like, okay, well, might as well take the bar. Okay, pass the bar. Okay, might as well try practicing law. And I was like, wow, this is pretty cool. I can make a lot of money pretty fast and develop this whole new skill. And also the networking. I started getting clients that were business owners, like, oh my God, I'm networking my way up the business community and all the way up into politics, right? That's where being a lawyer goes. You network your way up like that, and that's where the power and the money is. I'm like, okay, I see the opportunity here, and I went down that path. But I never intended to do that forever, but I kept doing it as long as it was challenging to the next level until I hit a wall where there wasn't as much challenge anymore. It became more of a grind.
You see this, you've hit the ceiling essentially.
I hit the ceiling. There wasn't much more to learn.
Especially when, I guess that's the interesting part, now as a business owner on my side, the sky's the limit. As you're getting involved in supplements, you can always add new products, have fun with the marketing, get more creative, have fun with the content. There's a million ways to skin a cat as well with the bottle, a redesign, a new way to, how do we market this? Yeah. There is no ceiling. The ceiling is, it's up to you. Exactly. So you find this passion, you're getting into the supplements. Was this all you? I mean, as I got into the supplement game, I learned really quick how expensive it was, which was this studio, and there's, $1 million baht there. And you start budgeting at the start and you're like, holy shit, well, there's 3 million. Anyways, the point is, once you got started, was this all you? Was this like the beginning of a passion project that's now become an actual, business for yourself?
Yeah. And I because I read so much about biochemistry at a young age, it's like if you're a soccer player at a really young age, it's very easy to be a good soccer player when you're older, because you were developing your brain and your body while you were developing these skills. Your body and brain develop around those skills, right? So my biohacking skills developed at such a young age, and when I got more into bodybuilding, and I realized like they're not applying what I saw as the laws of biochemistry physics. That's a coin that I use. I haven't heard anybody else use, but it's just like with anything else. You can boil everything down to the physics of how it works, and then you can really understand, instead of just learning the surface stuff, dig deep and understand the mechanisms of how these things work. And I realized what the bodybuilding biohacking industry needed was to understand the different muscle growth pathways that you could synergize together and remove bottlenecks to have very fast muscle growth. And that's the first products, and the same thing for fat loss. So the first products centered around filling the places in those matrices that I made that the rest of the industry wasn't filling, and therefore teaching people about the laws of biochemistry physics, which was always the main goal.
Were you trying to find like the specific natural ingredients to do that? Like, for example, your Blue Ox, to be honest, I looked at that and I ended up, I like one supplement company for my vitamins here. It's called Life Extension. They're in Singapore. I trust them. Yeah. So I looked at the Blue Ox. I'm like, okay, I'm just going to buy all the ingredients.
Yeah.
And because I'm like, I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to get it here. And I know myself, what I do is once I find something, I'll buy 12 bottles of everything.
Yeah.
Because I don't want to buy it every month. Yeah. So when you're creating those formulas, are you specifically looking at like, okay, specifically what does this ingredient do? It could be ashwagandha. Yeah. What is that going to do? And if I synergize it with these other ones, what are they doing? And what is the daily dosage required of every ingredient? Because you can't just mix them all, because you might not getting enough of each. Yeah. When did this start to come together where you're developing all those formulas and deciding I'm going to make a business out of this?
When a long time before I got into the supplement business, my kitchen counters and my cabinets were covered in raw powders of supplement ingredients, because I thought, why am I going to buy a supplement that has these 12 ingredients? I can just buy the raw powders for the 12 ingredients. So my house is packed full of raw powders everywhere. At a certain point, though, I realized the amount of time I was spending dealing with powders, and how some powders can taste so terrible.
Spirulina
good example. Yeah. That I don't want to take it. And then I realized, like, I try to force myself and I still can't take it. And as I got older, actually, when I was younger, it didn't matter. When I was 18 years old and I was taking supplements, I could take anything. I would put tuna and potatoes and beans in a blender, just like a meal you would eat. I would just put the whole meal in the blender and drink it, because I'm like, a taste doesn't matter. I don't want to waste time chewing. This is going to pre-digest it for me. And so I didn't care. But as I get older, I care more about the experience. I want to make it convenient. And then if I'm traveling, how am I going to travel with all these powders? So I went from being the guy that told everybody, why would you ever buy supplements in capsules and formulas when you can just buy all the powders, to being the guy that now I don't want to deal with powders. I just want supplements in a capsule.
Same story.
I don't want to deal with the taste. I don't have time to deal with that. The storage and the powders, they go bad because of the moisture, and then I got to put desiccant packets in it and label it. I got to change the size of the bottle, because if it's full of powder and there's this much air, it's going to go really bad. So then I have to put it in a smaller container as I get like, it's just a huge time and energy consumption. And so if you make any reasonable amount of money, at some point you are willing to pay for convenience in the experience. And now I'm all about that.
And the ability to travel with them.
Yeah.
That's why everyone asks me, I'm doing the mushrooms, and they're like, just do it in powders. I'm like, well, I can't. I do extracts. So that thing's going to be a rock in your cupboard in about a day, because it's an extract. Obviously you've dealt with extracts. You cannot, with this humidity here, unless you keep it in the fridge. But back to your point, same thing. I was taking the mango shakes, and I throw mango about 5 years ago. Didn't realize, oh shit, mango is just going to get me fat. And then you're tossing in spirulina, maca powder, ashwagandha. This thing literally tastes like, I don't know, it's so bitter that it's not even enjoyable. And then some days you skip it because you just look at it and you know what that thing's going to taste like. And now you're not taking it every day. So I personally think supplement capsules are the only way to go.
And now I've got to biohack a whole harem, and getting them to swallow a capsule is hard enough. Getting them to take a powder, forget it. They will not.
Yeah, even my girlfriend, she struggles to take the capsules.
Yeah.
I didn't realize, she says I'm a lunatic. I could have 50 capsules in this hand and get it down in about 2 chugs. Just boom, gone. Here. I'm like, I don't know, why can't you do that? But I guess that's a big issue with a lot of people. I was looking to do the triple O, the triple O capsules, the bigger ones, just to get more into the ingredients. But then you realize really quick, the majority of the population can't take these.
Right.
They're too big.
Yep.
So this business now, you're obviously retired from the law firm. That's probably set you off for life. Is this now more like a creative project to keep you going? What's your motivation to keep pushing that forward?
Yeah, it's weird because I guess I came from a family with money, so I never felt like I needed emotionally or psychologically money, right? I just see money as, okay, I need money to pay for what I need to pay for, plus a cushion for my family. And also, why stop making money? Why just make money until you retire? And then, of course, if you're giving value to the world, it's going to result in some money coming back. So I just focus more on how do I give value to the world, and then money comes back. And I don't like to do what I don't like to do. So I just hire other people to do everything I don't want to do, and I just outsource everything I don't want to do, and I just really try to focus on the parts of the things I want to do, which is self-experimentation, product development. I like branding. I like certain parts of marketing. I like the part about marketing where I can change the way people think about things because I have very strong political beliefs. And my main motivation for becoming an influencer wasn't even to promote supplement company sales. I thought, okay, supplement company, I want to make supplements that don't exist that I like, and I don't need to have any tie to that. You don't even know that's me making it type thing. But then I became an influencer and it all tied together. But becoming an influencer was because I wanted to change people's political perspectives. And I just knew that if I give enough value, this good karma money somehow, some way comes back in. And it always has for me. So I guess it's not really making money. I didn't get into the supplement industry to really make money. Actually, my intent going into it was to lose money as a tax deduction because I had so much money from the law office, and baby mama one was threatening me at the time because we had a child together, and she was using that as leverage to threaten me. And so I'm like, okay, well, I will just retire from law and I will start a business that loses money. And so I can show the court hey, I had to switch careers and now I'm losing money. And it just happened to make a lot of money.
Well, touching upon the value proposition and the message and the marketing, I think one of the things I struggle with from a mushroom business is there's only so many times at the gym I can talk to someone one-on-one, and for the amount of knowledge I have of my product is you don't even realize how intelligent it is. You don't know the level it's at. But for me to explain that to someone one-on-one could take 30 minutes. And then they get excited, and next thing you know, it's an hour. And then you realize this is not efficient. So my goal now is content creation to hit the masses with a shock value and a message that will hit them so they understand it from the beginning, kind of what Tate does. And I'm trying to do that through the mushroom because the average company selling the mushroom is your hippy dippy Seattle wearing lumberjack doofus with his long beard. And I'm selling a lifestyle. Though every mushroom company is the same lunatic out there. Sorry, competitors. I'm taking over the world because you don't know what the fuck you're doing. It's true. I will be the biggest mushroom company in 2 years. Guarantee you. Because I watched another one come out every week. I'm like, it's another hippie with a fucking beard. And he's selling mushrooms to people that want mushrooms. But everyone else, they don't know the message. So my point of this monologue here is, your goal is obviously going to be content creation and education and value proposition and shocking them through that content to educate because you can't talk to everyone one-on-one. Right. However, with the harem, you're probably busy. You must have some things deep in that roadmap of the creative content side. Can you share with us what's next for you in terms of the education side?
Well, okay.
That was a lot. I got
Yeah,
there.
remember the main point of that question, but you touched on a crossover that's really important to understand what I'm doing. Is you said the harem as almost as if it's a distraction, but the way I use chemistry and supplements is to enhance every aspect of my life. So the supplements are to enhance my harem. The supplements are to enhance my ability to maintain a physique of a lot of muscle and low body fat. The supplements are used to improve my health and longevity and reverse my aging. I know I look older than I am now maybe, but I've reversed my age a lot since I started working on age reversal. So I use supplements for everything, including the harem. I couldn't possibly do the harem without supplements. So I do document how I use the supplements in relation to the harem. I mean, just the most simple example, just because everybody could understand easily, is like if you have low testosterone, forget it. You're never going to have a harem. You're never even going to have a satisfied wife or girlfriend because there's something missing. I mean, like most important male hormone that lets you be the man in the relationship is deficient. Like, that's a problem. So that's just one example. But from there, you've got a lot of other supplements that improve sexual performance and fertility, and supplements that help keep the girls more calm, and supplements to help sleep at night, supplements to have more energy in the daytime.
You're stacking the deck there. It's like you're getting your creation and content education piece, but you're working it with the family.
Yeah.
So you're never separating the two.
It's not separated. It's 24 hours a day supplements. It's 24 hours a day harem. It's 24 hours a day business, because all of them are happening at the same time.
When do you sleep? You got a good sleep pattern going on? You're able to...
worst sleep pattern, but I have ever since as young as I can remember. Well, no, I mean, it started in my work life. It started when I started stressing about, work. And that never stopped. So I have terrible sleep habits. I sleep at different times every day, different amounts of sleep. Some days I feel amazing. Some days I don't. And if I didn't use supplements to improve my sleep quality and my circadian rhythm, my sleep would be even worse. There's so many nights as a lawyer, I went with no sleep all night, multiple days, just grinding and then laying in bed, thinking about my cases, waking up, writing notes about my case tomorrow, laying in bed, writing notes. Like it's like hell. It's like suffering.
What are you using to biohack that to help to supplement the sleep?
So this week, let's say I used propranolol, which is a beta blocker, which blocks adrenaline. So I have a hair trigger adrenaline response. I have an idea or something, boom, my heart rate shoots up. Okay, propranolol, which is over the counter here in Thailand, or it's easy to get.
It's a pill or injection?
Just a pill. And it just lasts 4 hours. It just blocks adrenaline, so the heart rate doesn't spike up every time you have a thought that would normally spike your heart rate, which is a very powerful tool also for women, because women, as soon as their adrenaline comes, they completely lose the ability to use logic, which everybody around them suffers as a result. So propranolol block the adrenaline. Women have the ability to be more logical. I have the ability to be more logical, less emotional, and then my body can relax. So I force my body to chemically relax at night, or if anxiety gets too high, that's propranolol. And then doxylamine is an antihistamine like Benadryl, but a little bit healthier and a little bit less hangover in the morning. And I think I have overactive histamine levels. So
it's like a sedative almost, no?
Yeah, it's a sedative, and it slows down your thinking. So even though it's great for anti-anxiety as well, you wouldn't want to take it during the daytime because it'll slow down your performance, right? The goal is you want to still have maximum performance, but be as relaxed and focused as possible. Well, doxylamine at nighttime is great because I don't need to have great mental performance. I can slow my brain down and sleep. There's a cost to each one of these. Like there's two different types of sleep that you need to get: deep sleep and REM sleep. And if you knock yourself unconscious, it's easy to make yourself go unconscious for 10 hours and take a number of different drugs to do that. But then you're going to miss on REM sleep. You're going to wake up and your brain's going to feel confused. You're not going to have solutions from the problems that you had the previous day and so on. And I really struggle with REM sleep. So but I've found that with doxylamine, I'm still able to get REM sleep. Even though doxylamine is clinically proven to reduce REM sleep, I think my brain is just so active. It's almost like when I take doxylamine, it takes me from here down to normal, which is a really important biohacking concept, which is that everybody's starting in a different place and maybe needs something a little bit different. So take some experimentation. Just because doxylamine works for me and I seem to still get REM sleep on it, someone else, they might not get REM sleep. They might wake up and they might feel like their brain isn't as sharp.
Are you using like a Fitbit to track your REM at night? Or
I used to use the Aura Ring to track my sleep quality, but I did not feel it was ultra accurate. Yeah.
So that's probably when you're saying with your memory and your notes, it's because without the REM, you're not consolidating your memories. You're not putting them into filing cabinets.
Yeah.
And that's essentially, they're just disappearing.
And because of the lack of sleep quality and the increased herbal smoking usage, I've certainly suffered some memory
that's the
loss
thing.
from
People smoking weed, you don't get REM.
Yeah.
That's why when you stop smoking weed, apparently, I quit like 10 years ago because of the dreams come back vivid. Right. And very, very strong. Yeah. So what I find for sleep for me is I'll just, if it's the end of the day, I'll just go run for an hour and then I'm just burnt out. And then I eat heavy, tons of protein. I only pretty much eat steak. I get from a meat, shout out to Meat Hub. Those guys are awesome in Bangkok. Get like 15 kg of like Australian tenderloin, fresh, not frozen. Bags it all up.
Along that line, sauna or cold plunge, but especially sauna later at night, as long as you can bring your temperature down before sleep, is amazing. And running and exercise, the more exercise to burn yourself out, short of overtraining, very good for sleep as well. I agree. There's lots of different. I mean, Enhanced Labs has a product, Enhanced Sleep and Grow or Enhanced Sleep Juice, that has like 12 different natural ingredients for sleep, and it's very helpful because it doesn't decrease REM sleep. It increases REM sleep and increases deep sleep at the same time and makes it easier to go to sleep faster and wake up less often, but it's not as powerful as pharmaceutical. So I found that if I take that, which I don't travel with it because it's a powder, if I take that plus something pharmaceutical, that combination, and at a certain time, the problem usually is that I feel like, I can't sleep and it's 3 a.m. Now I'll take something to sleep. Now it's going to last too long into the next day. So the most important thing is like planning the sleep strategy ahead of time, not too late. And that's something I need to do more of, but it's so hard to do because I do get stuck on business calls or content calls or whatever because of the time difference late at night and then sometimes early in the morning. So because of scheduling, I'm forced not to have a consistent sleep schedule.
Well, now you're working more with professionals, so they are looking for biohacking instead of, let's say, into the other supplements that I also enjoy. That world of the biohacking world, is it focused more on natural ingredients, or is there biohacking involved with stuff that maybe is not over the counter? And could you touch on like I know you can't put everyone in a box, but when you are dealing with professionals looking to biohack, is there kind of a one size fits all of, okay, here's a protocol, here's a stack I think we should get you started on to, whether that's enhancing productivity, brain optimization, energy levels, endurance levels, the ability to hold those energy levels all day. It's very important. Is there something that when you're working with them that you have that conversation, and what is that protocol or stack?
Most people come to me knowing that because of who I am, I'm going to have access to the information of the most advanced chemistry, but they are curious about it, but usually not willing to go all the way with it, but they want me to sort of convince them. So they come in sometimes like as a natural saying, okay, I want to make the next step, but it's a dangerous world. I want you to help me help guide through that so that I use like more powerful chemistry, but don't get myself hurt. And so it's a lot about assessing risk tolerance because, for any specific goal, building muscle, brain performance, whatever, there's very low risk things you can do that have low reward, and there's very high risk things that have very high reward. So it's all about risk tolerance. I mean, obviously, like with athletes trying to build muscle, there's very powerful things they can put in their veins that could be very harmful for their health. Or there's like natural supplements. There's everything in between. Everything.
Yeah,
the risk
people
versus
are
benefit.
doing something like a trend versus maybe just TRT.
Yeah.
I mean, trend is gonna probably jump. I never touched it just because I heard of the side effects the sleep side effects, and you can become a bit of a lunatic, and the sweats, and that's why I'm like, that one's not for me. But I mean, you can jump. Muscle development by like a year or 2 years just from getting on it for a bit.
I'm famous for doing mass blasts where we just take 12 days and we put on what normally would take them 3, 4, 5 months to put on that amount of muscle. We can do it in 12 days with the right chemistry.
Does it go away quickly though?
no, that's actually more permanent muscle because what we're using is the chemistry to build new muscle cells, to mutate the body in a short period of time. And that's a whole other topic.
Yeah,
but I mean, you can do the same thing for different goals for biohacking as well. And yeah, people come to me like initially thinking about maybe a body transformation, but then also thinking they're also like, well, I wonder what Tony knows about like how I can improve my sleep quality. My libido is a big one, or hair loss, or any other longevity, or they've got their blood work back and something's really bad. So maybe Tony can help fix my liver or my heart. And yeah, there's no like set protocol that I would put everybody on because everybody's at such different places. And so when I talk to them, it's assessing risk tolerance. And the same way I was talking about these different muscle growth pathways, let's say for your overall human experience, which are the things that we need to focus on fixing that make the biggest difference. And then under each one of those, like if muscle building, for example, then there's all these different muscle growth pathways. Then which one of these do we need to address that's the bottleneck? Because otherwise you could just go out and take every supplement on every supplement shelf. Like you could just take 1,000 different supplements and just shotgun approach. And in some ways you can do that. Like if I have had clients that say, okay, I have unlimited money and I can take unlimited pills. Load me up. Tell me what 100 bottles of pills to buy. Okay, yeah, we can do that. Most people don't want to spend that much money. Most people don't want to spend that much time taking that many pills. Most people are concerned about interactions. Most people feel like taking that many pills is just bad because we've not seen that in the mainstream media before until now. Brian Johnson, pioneering trying to live forever, and he's taking 100 pills a day. Now he's going to set the new standard that okay, taking pills maybe not bad for longevity, maybe good.
Well, I wonder, there is a lot of people don't know this, and I'm even learning it in the supplement industry, is when you're dealing with things that are extracts, you have to use magnesium stearate. And you have to use, anyways, you need a magnesium stearate. There's flow aids because it's impossible to get the extract into a capsule through the machine because it's just too sticky, no matter what. So I'm wondering, when someone's taking 100 pills, and let's say they're all different types of extracts, how much magnesium stearate are you taking per day? And if that has a side effect?
Yeah, good question. I mean, and there's other additives too, like there's a little bit of lactose in
or maltodextrin,
pills, and microcrystalline cellulose. There's all these different things.
Yes.
These are all pretty. I mean, microcrystalline cellulose is nothing. It's just fiber. Magnesium stearate, I don't know if that has. I mean, yeah, there's a small amount in anything that could stick to the machine so that it can flow through.
We use we have to use now less than 1%. Otherwise, we can't even do it in Thailand. Like the machines literally will cake up.
Yeah, moisture in the air, and then even the capsule, and then there's sometimes coloring in a capsule too. Like, is that food coloring going to matter? Yeah. Some colors may be harmful, like red. Well, maybe not harmful, but cause aggression. Interfere with your the way your brain functions. Possibly in a good way, but probably in a bad way. So yeah, there's certainly, when you're taking that many pills, you're accumulating.
We're thinking to change to pullulan capsules, which is a tapioca base, but it's double the cost. And people don't realize that actually the price of the powder is nothing in every bottle. It's the bottle, the labeling, the process, the capsule. This is probably 60%, 70% of the cost.
Yeah, with a lot of supplements. Yes. Not some supplements are extremely expensive for the raw ingredient. Yeah. But yeah, a lot of them are kind of the same basic price, not too expensive. Yeah.
What is in your biohacking bag? Is it changing every day, or is there something that you're working on today you can share?
Well, my biohacking bag,
bag.
Bag, what I use every day?
Yeah, like what you're taking out of the bag. Like what are you using currently to biohack?
Well, it's different all the time because I'm constantly experimenting on myself. I for example, with the muscle building, I learned 5 years ago the ultimate muscle building approach with the mass blast, right? 6-7 years ago. And it doesn't really need improving. That is going to be the most effective way to build the most amount of muscle in the shortest period of time for the next, 10 years until some major scientific discovery comes out. But I keep experimenting with it because I never would have discovered the mass blast in the first place if I didn't experiment to get there. And every step of the way, you think you have it all figured out, but really, unless you experiment, you don't know. So even if I find a protocol that like this works great, well, maybe if I experiment more, something else will work better. So I do continue to experiment, which means like someone might, I get criticism. Okay, if I'm such an expert on bodybuilding chemistry, why, this is back then when I actually was trying to get big, but through experimentation, why am I not even bigger? Well, because I did the experiment, I gained 15 pounds of muscle, and now I'm going to do another experiment that may or may not work. Maybe you just wasted time. I might have side effects, whatever, but I might take steps backwards. I'm not just trying to do what works. Personally, I'm using my body to experiment on. And so, yeah, so there's some hybrid of some of the things I use every day I know that work, and some of the things are an experiment. So yeah, the most important supplements that I take, though, off the top of my head, magnesium, maybe one of the most important, because people's genetics are different as far as what vitamins or minerals they become deficient in or prone to become deficient in. But with me, if I'm deficient in magnesium, I get restless legs, which is just pain and suffering. I mean, that's one of the reasons why I couldn't sleep. Actually, restless leg syndrome I had since I was a child. There's so many sleepless nights I had when I was like 8 years old, and I would get up and kick the side of my bed till my leg goes numb.
It's like a cramp you're getting in your calf.
Yeah, and it doesn't go away until you like give it so much pain that
it's the worst. It feels like someone stabs you right in the calf. Sometimes I wake up with A downstairs, and she'll see me just like whacking it on the table.
Yeah. So magnesium has solved it like 75% of the time for me. 75% of my restless leg syndrome was from magnesium deficiency. So like I travel with a lot of magnesium wherever I go, because I just do never want to run out of magnesium. And then fish oil it's not a mandatory thing, but it's just great for lipid profile and lowering overall inflammation in your body, in your brain, everywhere. And then vitamin C and vitamin E as basic antioxidants, just for foundational antioxidant support. And vitamin D3, because I have the genetics that in order for me to get enough vitamin D3, I just have to spend a lot of time in the sun. I don't want to spend a lot of time in the sun, so I have to supplement with a lot of vitamin D3.
That's kind of a hormone balancer there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I take D3 because after you live in Thailand a while, I'm a bit whiter. I don't like to go in the sun. One, I'm going to look 90 years old. I'm going to look like one of the guys at the bar with these like, these necks that looks like they've been diving for 20 years.
Yeah.
And there's nothing you can do. Once your neck, people don't realize that's a good, someone told me this tip. Protect your neck, not the Wu-Tang thing, but literally your neck, once it goes, even a surgery doesn't bring it back.
You can't Botox your neck.
You cannot Botox your neck. So the neck is probably the most important thing to protect, whether you're using creams or just out in the sun. Because once that thing starts to drop, it's game over.
I'm glad you said that, because that was common sense to me, and it's always in my head, but I never heard anybody say it like you just said it. So I'm glad you reinforced that, and I'm going to prioritize.
Yeah,
it.
I mean, I golf with a lot of golfers out there, and the ones that protect their neck look fine, and the ones that don't, what happens? It'll just all drop.
Is that why we have collars? I didn't even realize. This is what this is here this whole time for?
Old ladies, they go nuts about it. Because when your neck's done, it's done. Good luck. Go do surgery on a neck. It's going to look hilarious. Can't do anything. So that's the one thing I really try to watch is, even if I go out, sometimes I won't even put it here. I'll just coat the whole neck up just to kind of be safe, because I like to ride the bike around. Phuket's mental. And I even got to the point where I started riding my bike around and throwing on the raincoats.
Oh, to block from the sun. This is
so I'm using the raincoats in the
Asian tourist.
Yeah,
where I use umbrellas in the sunlight. Yeah.
Okay, right before we pivot, because it's almost been an hour, we'll touch upon one last subject, back to your lifestyle living in Pattaya. And Pattaya, it's very unfamiliar to. I've never even been, because Phuket won't fly you there. And I'm not getting on a plane to go to Bangkok. When you're walking around the streets with your harem, are heads turning, or guys giving high fives? What's that environment like living there, even going out to dinner?
With a harem?
Yeah.
I used to drive a Ferrari on a regular basis, had a couple Ferraris in America, and they turn heads. They get a lot of respect. I have a physique with a lot of muscle that gets a lot of respect. And I'd have to say, nothing has ever come close to the amount of like respect and awe and envy that I get as the harem. Not even close. It's like I'd have to have 10 Ferraris to get the amount of envy and respect that the harem.
Do you have like young tourists coming up to you? They must see you like what the hell? They ask you questions, or they kind of just stand from a distance in awe?
Well, I mean, a lot of people know me, and a lot of people come to Thailand because of me, or because they hope to meet me or whatever. So they already know. They already watched my videos and all that. When someone doesn't know me, they just stare and they're like, "Who is this guy and what's going on?" And they try to. That you can see all the people like in a restaurant trying to figure it out, because at first I'll come in with 3 girls and they'll think, okay. People look and they're like, okay, which one's his girlfriend, right? And then, oh, he kissed her. Oh, wait, he kissed the other. Wait, he kissed all 3. Wait, all 3 are touching him. Wait. And then everybody's looking like, what's going on? And I could read their faces. It's not like disgust. It's not like disapproval. It's curiosity, like what's going on? This defies all social norms. And then I can see like, oh, it's okay. They're girls for hire. Everybody thinks.
Yeah, but there's there's a lot of guys doing that in Pattaya, girls for hire, that's also normal to see.
Yeah. Yeah, but it's different. Like with my harem, you can see these women really love me. They love me as much as if I was in a monogamous relationship with any one of them. And you can see it and you can feel it. And that's why the curiosity, that's why people keep watching, because they're watching, trying to figure it out. And then other men are always looking because they're thinking, oh, is that woman single? Is she available? So they're analyzing from that angle. And then a woman is looking because like, I mean, women have a lot of crazy things that go through their mind about ranking people, judging people, everything else. So they're trying to figure out like who's with who, what's that, how are they doing? Yeah. And I kind of like it because it's like, okay, I'm truly out of the matrix. If I get that reaction, then I'm truly doing something different, you know?
Yeah, people, they're probably trying to piece it together.
Again. Yeah.
It's a curiosity.
I think, and then women, I'd say Western women, when they see it, that is the most hilarious thing, because they instantly, their egos, and they're trying to explain it in their head, like what it is. They're like, oh, he's, you know, like, oh, he's using them, or he's paying them, or just like they're trying to think of all the most negative things they can. But by the end of their whole crazy firestorm that's going in their head while they're watching this, in the end, they're just like, who is this guy and what does he have? Like, why?
And how can I get in there?
Yeah, actually, by the end, if they watch for long enough, other girls are like, I want to know what this is about. I want to try this. Yeah, just from spectating. You can watch all of this on their eyes.
Yeah, well, I think in Asia, it's just, it's not acceptable. It's more, I feel in Asia, there's this sense of freedom. I won't go, that's a long conversation. I don't believe Canada, the US, this is not the free world. You're out of your mind. If you live there and think you're in freedom, you're out of your mind. Places like Asia, this is actual freedom. Whether you are a foreigner, an expat, or a local here, it's still 100% freedom. And I think that's what you're portraying, anyone's portraying living here. So any tourist coming in, they're just the tourists. We're the zoo animals in there, essentially. Not like myself. They look at you and you look at them like as like the person at the zoo coming to watch you. Yeah. You're like, this is what I'm doing, baby. You got to go home in a week.
I never thought of that. You're right. Yeah.
Well, it's kind of the feeling. And now when you live here long enough, you can spot a tourist from a mile away. Like, you know who lives here and who doesn't. One final point to go on, and I think this is just more from my experience, being in the Philippines and being in Thailand. My opinion, these are 2 completely different women, 100%. I mean, maybe Buddha's a Muslim, and maybe the other one is Catholic. However, you were saying living in Thailand, yes, things are changing, it's developing, but in the Philippines, you know, they still got a lot of work to do. And I won't talk the politics because I probably want to go there another time as well. So hopefully they let me back in. But when you go to places like Angeles City, and you've been, I haven't been to Pattaya, but up in Bangkok or these areas, they are very different in the Philippines. They're more friendly, and the best word to explain it is they're more frisky. In Thailand, it's very sit down, it's very business oriented. So when you're in these places like the Philippines and you're in Thailand and you're balancing these 2 different women, 2 different cultures in your harem, are they the ones colliding?
Philippine women and the Thai women.
Yes.
Yeah, it's a very interesting interaction. Thai women are very jealous of Philippine women. They already feel animosity towards them. And I don't know, like truthfully all of the sources of it, but one of them is Thai women are very jealous that Philippine women speak such good English and are able to communicate with English-speaking men so well. Like Philippine women are able to take men away from Thai women. And so they see Philippine women as a threat. And that's the main thing that I see, because I see it in my own harem, right? But other than that, one thing is like a lot of women are really, like when you have a lot of different women, you start realizing the similarities in just women's psychology, and a lot of things are the same, and then a lot of things are culturally learned. But I've learned that Thai women are more like the Chinese style, and Philippine women are more like the Latin American style. Like Philippine women, they are maybe more like passionate, more romantic. Thai women are more transactional as a whole. Actually, their brain just works more transactionally like that. I think that Philippine women are able to feel like a deeper sense of love the way that Westerners feel. And Thai women feel like love is like support is love. Like other things are love than what we think is love. And I'm sort of adapting to both. And I don't dislike the Thai culture. I'm glad. I wish I knew what it was earlier, but it is more about money and support and transactional with all of them, even the ones that you would never think are like that. It's kind of just built into their psychology, whether it's because of some of the Chinese genetics, because it's just Chinese just seem to be like that as well. Chinese are just so much less passionate, more transactional, but it's good because, it's good because as long as you understand it, it's like the rules of the game, then you know how to play it. And then I have to ask myself what type of relationship I want. I want them all. I get something from each one of them. If I have a more transactional relationship with one girl, I can express that part of my persona there. If another girl is more romantic, I can express more of my persona there. Like the multiple different women allow me to express different parts of my persona. And as far as interacting with each other, Thai women can get very competitive with each other. And in some ways, they're less competitive with a Filipino girl. But if they feel like the Filipino girl has an advantage over her that she can't win, like the English-speaking thing, and she just feels like that's an insurmountable challenge to overcome for the Thai girl, then she'll kind of give up, which is not good. So it's my job, like I've got all these women competing for my attention. It's my job to not give them enough security to where they get relaxed and have bad behavior, but give them enough positive encouragement to let them know they can stay in the game, and that a Philippine girl is not going to beat them just because she speaks English. I have to let the Thai girl know that, yes, the Philippine girl speaks better English. She's able to connect with me on different levels, which is something very hard for one of the Thai girls downstairs. Actually, she's more like a Filipino style. She's more romantic. She's a little bit less transactional, and she communicates very well like a Westerner because she's had so many Western boyfriends, right? So she's learned. And one of the other girls is like more Chinese acting, and she sees how I interact with the one that's more Filipino style, and she's like, oh, I can't do that. That's not me. That's not how I think. I don't think he can, he's going to get rid of me because they're connecting more. So I have to give positive encouragement to the Thai girl and the Chinese way of thinking, and I have to come back to like a transactional way of communicating with her so that she understands and feels loved and feels special and feels like she has a chance to compete against the other girl. This is part of the very complex
I can
psychology.
imagine. I mean, is this some of the stuff that keeps you up at night, trying to piece that all together? And I mean, it does seem like a little bit of a game on that side where you really know how to. You're playing a game, how to balance it. Not so much to talk it down, but saying, hey, it's becoming a little bit political as well within your own household.
Yeah. And I think what the lessons that I learned from this do carry over into other parts of life, into human psychology and business and leadership and teamwork and setting goals, accomplishing goals. Like it's all the same stuff applied. Like all this stuff is applied to the harem. With the most difficult twist of just female psychology on top of human psychology. Yeah, so I have to become really good at that. And biohacking, again, we couldn't possibly do it without that. So
You're stacking the deck as well, and you're not, just getting.
And it might all fall apart at any time. And like I said, like you asked, and I said, every day I think about giving up on it, and that's true. Today I will also think about that. But I just want to see how far I can take the experiment to know how good it can be. At the point that it is right now, it's like tied with for my long-term goals, it's like almost tied with monogamy. Well, not monogamy, polygamy, but separating the women and not bringing them together. Like I'm definitely going to have multiple wives, let's say, but whether they're separated or whether I keep them all together is the question. And it's like 50-50 on which way may be better right now. And
I think it goes back to your roots and your values. And I think I was reading that today with Elon Musk was saying, for any type of business organization, whether it's political or relationships, what the main part that will make them succeed is transparency. And that transparency of having them all in the same household, whatever you're talking, they might create new stories in their mind, but when you're talking this transparency in an open environment, they're also seeing it.
Yes.
So that's probably a huge value add right there.
That, and then also the children. So I have 3 daughters with 3 of the different girlfriends. The goal is to have all 3 daughters live in the same household and have the benefit of, let's say the perfect number, maybe living in one household, 5 girlfriends. Maybe 5 girlfriends with 3 daughters, or in the household would probably be perfect, or 6. And that way the children have more family to interact with. And also the women have each other as friends and teammates, because like if they have outside friends, there's a clash of values. The outside friends don't understand this. They just don't understand. They don't vibe with the dynamic. So I'm realizing I have to, because I have another friend who's starting his own harem, and he's doing a different approach, but he learned from everything that I did, and he figured out, okay, these are the parts that really work. So he has 2, we'll call them wives, because he intends to marry them and have children with them, in 2 separate condos next to each other. And he goes back between each one. And then the women are friends with each other, and he doesn't do any activities with them individually. No. I'll put it this way. The activities they do, or the girls do it together. So they're friends. They go do activities together. He works, right? And so he's trying to cultivate them being friends and a team, and understand that they're each other's best friend. They need to take care of each other, best friends. They need to treat each other like family, but they don't have to live together. They have their own separate spaces. They only come together when they want to come together. And if they do need a friend, they do need someone to do something with, they have each other to do that. And then when the children the children play together. The moms can play together when they want to, don't have to when they don't want to. So he's keeping it more separate, and I'm trying to have it more together. Because for me, like, I have a chef, I have a maid, these type of things, like in Asian countries, easy to have. And why not have one chef that's cooking food for all 3 kids? Why not have one person who's in charge of transportation and driving people around? Why not have one person that's in charge of cleaning the house? Like, it's an economies of scale, and it's efficient, and it's like building a compound of teamwork. And then it doesn't take me more energy. It takes me less energy. It's highly efficient. It's highly economical. Everybody's working as a team, as a family, and as friends. Yeah, that's the goal.
If you bring on a new girl, would she immediately move into the main house, or there's like a process to that?
Like the newest girl we brought in, I have the separate condo. So I had my girl that is the most compatible with all girls and has the best social skills, Pow Pow. I have Pow Pow and the new girl, Hugh, stay together in one condo. And I did that for 5 days to make sure that Hugh was comfortable. And then I brought her to my house so she could see the whole harem. And then I brought her on this trip to Phuket. So I have Foxy, Pow Pow, and Hugh are with me downstairs. And it's like baby steps into the process to get her comfortable. I'm not hiding anything. We know where it's going, but like there has to be some level of comfort built.
Yeah, I mean, this is probably not the right analogy, so don't take this the wrong way, but it's the similar, like, these places like a Soy Dog Foundation. They're not just letting a new dog into the cage with all of them. There's a certain process to that. Definitely not the way I want to put it across. I'm just trying to think of when you're introducing someone to your pack, essentially. there has to be a transition period. Otherwise, it could just cause mayhem.
Yeah, because they come from a culture this is like not a normal type of relationship. Now, the Muslim culture does have a relationship where there's one man up to 4 wives, and there's a whole procedure set to it, and religion and the community supports it. So if you get a Muslim girl, she's already ready to go into a Muslim household and into something similar to a harem situation. But you get a girl that's a Catholic or Buddhist or some other upbringing, and they weren't raised around this type of environment, then you have to like break them into it easy to make.
Have you had a Muslim girl come in before?
Well, the biggest advice I've gotten is that I really should just do this with Muslim girls. And then like they're already like 80% of the way there of what I'm trying to do. So actually I haven't gotten a Muslim girl, but if this whole harem doesn't work out, then the next step, if I do a harem, may be just to make an entire Muslim style harem, because then they have a value system they were raised with that they can follow, and heck, they could teach me how it works, because these Muslim relationships seem to work extremely well from the Muslim guys that I've known. Like, I'm not saying the Muslim religion has everything figured out, but when it comes to relationships with men and women, wow, they've mastered it much more than Western society.
Well, have you thought about maybe just bringing one in as like kind of coming in as a consultant?
Teach the rest. Yeah. That's a good idea. Let me write that. I haven't written anything down, even though there's a lot of good stuff. That one needs to get written down. Muslim girl consultant.
Well, it's an experiment. Okay. Well, we'll end that on a high note. I'm going to kick it back to, and we'll definitely do this again. This is the last episode at this studio, so it'll probably come out in a couple weeks. And then we'll be at the new studio, at the new villa, which is going to be a really cool studio. We're going to use the pool villa. This guy built this crazy waterfall in it. It's going to have it's getting out of this, the studio is cool, but it doesn't allow you to feel like you're in Thailand. This one, it's going to be in the living room, very modular. I'm going to keep rolling with this. And it's like you said, going back to your point where, some days you feel like giving up. I think that's with everything in life. Some days I don't want to go to the gym. Some days I don't want to do this podcast. Some days I don't even want to get out of bed because I have so much to do for work that it becomes overwhelming. But I think what I find is when you face those situations with whatever you're doing and you get through it, you level up.
Yes.
So I think I'm there right now with my podcast and my business. I'm like, today was like, do I want to do the podcast? Do I want to do the business? And the answer is no. And then you're like, you have to do it. You got to put in the reps. And then you put in the reps. And then I find when you get past it, you go to this next level. It's like almost you're breaking through something. Mm-hmm. Anyways.
That's exactly what keeps me in the game sometimes. Sometimes I feel like I want to give up, and then I think, when I want to give up is when most people would give up. So if I can push through this, then that's exactly what I should be doing. But obviously choose the battles, because some battles you could try to push through and you can never get through. And this is the difficulty with uncharted territory. Like with what I'm doing is kind of uncharted. I don't know where the wall I'm going to hit is. And then it's like, okay, that's it. That's as far as I can go. But it's like, I want to find where that wall, I want to hit that wall and finally say, okay, I made it this far. Like climbing up to Mount Everest. And I'm like, okay, I got this far up the mountain. And then because I know I won't be able to do it 10 years from now. I know like right now is the best opportunity I'll have in my life to do this. So I want to do it while I can, because I want younger girls who want to have children and want to build family and have good energy and are teachable. And as I get older, it's going to be harder to have the girls in the age range that I want to build this harem with. 10 years from now, I might not.
What about the evolution of a harem? Meaning, the harem that you're thinking of today is, you have 7 girls, maybe a couple different households, and eventually it comes to one. But as you get older, that might become difficult to manage, and bringing on a guy as a consultant manager, not sexually involved, but management involved, where it takes that day-to-day operations off your plate. Who knows if people are doing that in the harem world, but evolving the harem to something different.
Well, I should have a harem queen. Like a woman that's everybody agrees she's the boss, and everybody goes to her before they come to me with anything. So that I'm trying to cultivate that. But I'm realizing that maybe there's no perfect queen of, like, there's one that maybe is good with the finances. Okay, you manage the harem finances. There's one that's good, like empathetic and understands their emotions and can say, okay, this girl's not feeling good. We need to do this for her. Or this girl's feeling good. She liked that. Let's do that again. So it's like building a business and building a management hierarchy. And I also have to think in, you didn't build a successful business unless it can operate without you, right? At some point, you need to work to the point where it can operate without you, and then you can sell the business. Like, that's the ultimate goal of building eventually that's where business goes. And the same thing with the harem. It's like, I need to build the harem so it's functioning so well that I could leave for a month and I come back and everything is still operating the same. So for the same reasons, it's got a lot of business similarities.
Maybe there's a certain point where you need a guy in there to kind of, then you can pass the buck on the blame. Like, hey, he's got to.
When I'm old enough, might be like one of these guys that has to hire guys to satisfy my girlfriends. Although I'm trying to cultivate bisexuality and I'm trying to encourage the women to play with each other to satisfy their own needs as well. And that's another whole, like the whole harem can function without that, but with that, it's even better. So I'm trying to work on that, but if that doesn't work, then
I guess the original pioneer would have been Hugh Hefner then.
Yes. Right? Yeah, exactly.
I don't know why I didn't think of it in that sense. And he must have some sort of, now obviously you can't pick his brain, he's no longer with us, but there must have been some sort of playbook for allow him to make that work until his deathbed.
Yes. Yeah. And when I took David Bond's intensive course and he was going through the different harems and how each one is like, what's the foundation of that harem? So Hugh Hefner's was based on like money and fame. And that's why the girls are there. And with David Bond, it was based on fun. And then I think the most common harem we see, it's very common. You don't see it in the public eye or whatever, but I'd say the most amount of harems in the world are probably based on drugs. Drug addiction, something, right? It's a pimp with drugs and the girls are all there for the drugs. This is very common. And that's fine for those people, but I don't want it to be based on that because my whole thing is like healthy lifestyle. Yes, certain ones are good and certain ones are bad, but it's more about productivity and biohacking. So I don't want to resort to that. But yeah, Hugh Hefner is a one type. It's a good model but that's a hard one to follow because that takes a lot of money.
Well, you're saying it's money and fame, and maybe the best harem runs on love and trust.
Yeah, but the love and trust is the love and trust is interesting because men, I think we can choose to love. We can say, I take responsibility for this woman for the rest of her life. I'll be with her through thick and thin. Like, we can make that choice, but women are much more emotional about it. It's less of a percentage of their love is based on choice and most is based on their feelings, right? Which forces us men to be, you could say, manipulative, because if we want them to feel love, like, we can't just say, love us, logically, you should love us. We have to like do a lot of things so that they feel it. So I've got to do a lot of things that they can feel it, but at the same time, I want to cultivate their ability to use logic and have them logically make a decision and commit to that this is like a committed relationship with committed goals and a committed vision. And that's part of the value system of this harem. And if I make this list of 10 commandments, would be worked in there somewhere as well.
The problem with that, with women, I'm going to get shot for this, is logic is only logical today, but every day is a new day. So you could have had the 20-hour conversation and we're all on logic. Great. Go to bed. Tomorrow's a new day. So that's where it can get very challenging. It's just,
there has to be tangible pleasure rewards and pain punishments. I mean, not like slapping or something, but they have to feel like they're losing something when they don't follow something they committed to, because everything, like, a girl has to show up to a job at a certain time or she gets fired. And they understand that a lot of the world works like that, but women think in their relationships that they can just do whatever they feels and everything revolves around their feelings. I think relationships need to also be treated like some level of commitment, and we make a decision today that we're going to follow because we have a bigger goal that we're working towards. We can't just do what we feel at any given moment. And trying to teach women this, like, to have them just say, yeah, I agree to it and actually follow through is very hard. But if there's actual built-in rewards and punishments, like, for example, Foxy said she wants to start getting a salary. And I don't pay her anything right now. I used to pay her a salary, but then she did some acts of bad behavior, and for punishment, I cut her salary completely. I haven't paid her anything in a long time now. And she's like, I want to start getting salary again. I'm like, okay, well, in order to do that, you have to do this, this, and this, and this. And this time I'm not paying you first. This time you do this for 30 days and you get your salary at the end of the 30 days. So now she has a punishment. Now she has to think logically. She has to show up on work on time. She has to not have certain types of bad behavior. So I have to treat it almost like the relationship, almost like a business with actual
it's structure.
Responsibility.
There needs to be some structure. Otherwise it could just, I mean, if a king's running a kingdom, they also have their structure as well. Otherwise everyone runs freely and you have mayhem and anarchy.
Yeah, and I thought, like I know for sure you and I could work things out on whatever, dealing with logic. I could talk to you logic, but since, women are emotional, change their mind every day. Unfortunately, I haven't been able to get women to become logical all the time. Emotions always win. And so, yes, it requires structure. And this is from a guy, I am against the system. I am out of the matrix. I don't like rules. I'm libertarian, whatever, freedom. But I realize, okay, maybe men don't need so many rules because we can use logic and make good decisions, but women need rules because if women don't have rules, their emotions will destroy everything.
Yeah, the decisions become emotional and instead of logical. Like for me, I always kind of think like a computer. What would the computer do? I try to think very like data in, data out. But when you bring emotion into play, everything kind of goes out the window. Okay, we're going to end it up. We probably did an hour and a half, but that's okay. It's my podcast. I'll do what I want on YouTube until they ban me and I have to go to Rumble. That's going to wrap up another episode. Just before that, I'm going to kick the big camera with the big lens to Tony. And if you can just let everyone know where they can follow you. I know you're active on X. Well, you have some people there, and you're active on X, you're active on Instagram and YouTube, which you're always getting kicked on and off. And if they're looking for your supplements as well, all the information of Tony Hugh, where can they find you if you talk to that camera?
There's so many places to find me for so many different types of information. The best thing is to search Tony Huge on any platform. Tony.Huge on Instagram or Tony Huge Biohacking on YouTube, but I have multiple YouTube channels. It's just too many to give out. So also, if you want to find like my landing page, then you could search direct me, Tony Huge on Google and find a landing page of all the links.
Like a link tree type
which
of
is
thing.
also in the bio of the Instagram, Tony.Huge.
Yeah, so probably easiest way, head over to Instagram, Tony.Huge. We'll put links in the description, and from there, tons of information through his like link tree that he has linked in the bio. That wraps up another episode, probably a bit controversial to all you softies out there. So unsubscribe because you're too soft. That's good. Take a hike. But keep supporting the mushrooms. We like your money. So link, like, subscribe, do all that fun stuff, and we're out.